Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Quranists Responses to Critics on Quranist Network Television, QNet TV. We are still talking to Abdullah Al-Andalusi, and now it's part 3 of our discussion. So without further ado, let's begin. See, Abdullah's next question to me was, now I want to ask you a question. This is in Facebook. How do you know how many rakats it requires to pray Zuhr or Maghrib prayers? I don't know why he didn't ask Asr and Aisha, but yeah, this is what he asked. The number of rakats are not in the Quran, so that's where he stops about Salah. Yeah. My clear answer: I do not believe your Salah ritual is from the Quran. It is a part of Islamic culture. It is not divinely mandated by Allah. I do not speak for all Quranists. Some Quranists say yes, it is from Allah, and they quote chapter 2 verse 1 to 5, وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلًّى. Take your salah from the maqam of Ibrahim. So they say, well, if you look at Makkah, you will find that the Imam is praying in that way. The maqam Ibrahim is there. Take your salah from there. So they're mapping it back to a living practice. I disagree with this. I don't agree with this. To me, salah in the Quran is not the same as the salah of traditional Muslims. It's not the same thing. But having said that, it doesn't mean that salah is a bad practice. In fact, I do salah regularly, and I feel it is an excellent way to connect with Allah. But to answer you, no, I don't believe it's a divine practice. That's why it's not in the Quran. Now, the question to ask you is, why do you believe Salah is a divine practice? I can tell you why, actually. Because firstly, you believe that it comes from the Mihraj. The Mihraj is where the Prophet got the Salah. Let me ask you this, Abdullah. Do you believe in the Mihraj? Let me read to you a bit from the Mihraj. This is from the Sahih Muslim version. So the Prophet was already there in the sky now. And he was brought to the Sidrat al-Muntaha, the log tree of the furthest limit, whose leaves were like ears of elephants and whose fruits at first appeared insignificant. Then Allah spread His command over them. They transformed to the point where no one in creation could describe their beauty. I don't know what that means actually, but then Allah revealed what He revealed to me. He then made obligatory for me, as in for the Prophet, 50 prayers every night and day. You must know this. I'm just repeating the story. You must know this. He then said, return to your Lord. Then I began my descent, as the Prophet was going down, until I reached Musa, who asked me, what has your Lord made obligatory to your community? I mean, Moses was already dead. I don't know how Moses is dead, but Moses asked him, what has your Lord made obligatory for your community? I said to him, the Prophet said to Musa, 50 prayers. Now listen to what Musa says. He then said, return to your Lord and ask him to reduce them. Your community will not be able to bear that. I know the people of Israel from long experience, and I have tested them. Aren't you in shock? Musa knew from experience that 50 prayers was too much. But the Alimul Ghaibi wa Shahada, the knower of the heavens and the earth, Allah, didn't know this. This is a horrible thing to say about Allah. And you guys repeat this story every Mihraj, every annual Mihraj celebration. You guys repeat the story. But this is what Musa said. Then I then returned to my Lord and said, oh my Lord, make things lighter for my people. Allah then reduced it by 5 prayers. I then returned to Musa, and he said to me, your community was not able to stand that. So the Prophet went back and asked for reduction until there was only 5 prayers left. So it seems Musa in this story knew more than Allah. The Prophet, instead of obeying Allah straight away, subhanallah, if I went up to the sky to get a command from Allah, and Allah told me 500 prayers a day, I would strive to do that. I would not dare to say, oh, what Musa said something else. No, no, no. I would do that. I would spend the rest of my life doing nothing but prayers if Allah told me. But our uswatun hasana, our beautiful example, he did not obey Allah. Do you know that our command, when Allah tells us something, the command of the believer, the response of the believer is sami'na wa ata'na. That's chapter 2, verse 285. And the Prophet didn't do this. Instead, he decided to go and bargain with Allah. This is how you got your 5 salah. So Abdullah, my question to you is, do you believe this? Do you believe in this 5 salah? Do you believe in this story? I know you believe in the 5 salah, sorry. But do you believe in this story? The next point, the hadith about salah is, pray as you see me pray. See me pray. How many people saw the Prophet? Let's be conservative, right? We know the Khutbatul Wida had 10,000 witnesses. 10,000. It's a lot. Let's be conservative. Let's say 1,000 people. If 1,000 people witness you doing your ritual prayers 5 times a day, because don't forget, you have to do it in Jama'ah, yeah? Otherwise, Bukhari will come and burn your house down. So, 5 times a day, the Prophet is praying. Should there not be a single method of prayer? You are a Maliki. You're a Maliki. Tell me what's the most obvious visual difference between you and the Hanafis. It must be where you place your hands. You will not place your hands, you will not put your hands over your navel or your tummy. You will put it on your side. Why? Because the people of Medina did it like that. Yet this is disagreed upon. This is disagreed upon, and now we have the Salafis, they are coming with books saying this is the authentic mode of prayer. Don't pray behind those who do bid'ah. They're saying don't pray behind you guys. And then you guys are telling us this is from Allah. Massive contradictions, but this is from Allah. Things which contradictions do not come from Allah. Chapter 4, verse 82. The Quran, no contradictions comes from Allah. The ritual salah, contradiction does not come from Allah. Doesn't mean it's not a valuable cultural practice. In fact, it preserves the Quran. So I value it. I use it to rehearse the Quran myself. But I don't believe it's from Allah. Next point. And Abdullah first mentioned this in his talk. Or as I said in my talk, this is Abdullah talking. He said, as I said in my talk, we should cut the hand of the poor thief. The hadith say that a thief who is poor is not to be punished. Answer me, but be consistent as a Quranist, please. Firstly, you don't have to tell me about consistency. Subhanallah, I would never rely on these kind of sources to explain the Quran, because what they do is subvert the Quran, not explain it. Secondly, what you said in your talk was, we need the hadith to rein in the Quran. That was your exact words. Rein in the Quran. Rein in. You know, when you have a wild horse and you need to rein him, you need to keep him in control. That's what you said about the Quran. Because subconsciously you have a problem with the sarika punishment. You believe that, okay, you know what? This is a horrible, barbaric punishment. And I don't blame you. It is a barbaric punishment. But that's only because you guys are interpreting it according to hadith. You have not allowed the Quran to speak for itself. Let me quote you this rather valuable book which I have, which is by Muhammad Hashim Kamali. Yeah? It's a punishment in Islamic law. Brilliant. It's a brilliant book. Now it says, the first offense of theft is amputation of the right hand from the wrist. This is from hadith, obviously. The second is amputation of part of the left foot. Again, that's really the merciful hadith there, yeah? And the scholastic fiqh of leading schools has admittedly validated amputation of the left foot. But the second amputation is disputable, and there is a minority opinion against it. Now guess why? For the simple reason the Quran has not validated it. Strange. When it comes to other hadith, they use the Quran to rein in the hadith. You want to rein in the Quran, but they want to rein in the hadith. Very, very strange indeed. And two of the prominent companions, Ibn Abbas and Atta, have reported to have held that no further amputation is valid. So you only do once, you lose your hand, that's it. After that, you can steal as much as you want, no amputation is valid. And supported this by citing the Quranic text out of context as usual. Your Lord is never forgetful. Surah Maryam, ayah 64. Ibn Hazm has strongly criticized the majority ruling here and said it is quite remarkable that such drastic positions are taken without there being evidence to support them. So you guys disagree among yourselves. In the meantime, people are losing limbs. Please don't rein in the Quran, brother. Don't rein in the Quran. The Quran does not need to be reined in. It just needs to be heard. If you hear the Quran, you don't need to rein it in. Let me tell you what the Quran says about this. The ayah is chapter 5, verse 38. وَالسَّارِقُ وَالسَّارِقَةُ And for the male and female thief, فَأَقْتَعُوا أَيْدِيهُمَا And cut off their arms. جَزَاءً بِمَا كَسَبَ نَكَلًا مِنَ اللَّهِ. So, let's ask the first question. Yeah? فَأَقْتَعُوا أَيْدِيهُمَا Cut off their two aid. The word is aid. Yeah? Aid. Not yad or yada. Allah uses the word yada, two hands, yada, elsewhere. Chapter 5, verse 64. We'll get to that in a minute. But here is aid, hands. How many hands do you have? You have more than 3 hands? You have 3 hands or more? No, you don't have more than 3 hands. It's very strange that this word kasaba is in the same ayah, they earn, is in dual form, kasaba. But the aid is in plural form. Why? Because aid is not to be taken literally. Aid, your hands. In other words, you are thieving, cut off your capacity to steal. It's really that simple. So, what's the proof of this? Jaza'an bima kasaba nakalan. A recompense upon what they have earned as an example min Allah, from Allah. In other words, if you steal 5 pence, that is what you earn. Yeah, bima kasaba. You have earned 5 pence. But your punishment will be something due. I mean, obviously, you're going to have to repay the 5 pence, but also the damage which you have incurred. You don't steal 5 pence and steal 5 million pounds and both for each lose your hand. That will go against the ayah because it's bima, upon kasabat nakala min Allah, upon what they have earned as an example from Allah. You see, so this is why you guys just don't read full verses, because if you read full verses you will find that unfortunately the verses do not support your opinion. How do we know that yad or hand is metaphorical? Look at chapter 5, verse 64. وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودِ يَادُ اللَّهِ مَغْلُولَةً. Say the al-Yahud, the hand of Allah is tied. But Allah says, بَلْ يَدَاهُ مَبْسُوطَةً. His 2 hands are outstretched. Where are Allah's 2 hands? Not literal. Next verse, chapter 38, verse 17. إِصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا يَقُولُونَ. Be patient on what they have said. وَاذْكُرْ عَبْدَنَا دَاوُودَ. And remember our slave Dawood. ذَا الْأَيْدِ. The possessor of many hands. So, what is this? It's not literal. It's not literal. So that's the problem. You see, you guys have taken this literally and then try to use hadith to cover up what you know is barbaric. You want to rein in the Quran. The Quran does not need to be reined in. It is a perfectly just book. The only problem is you guys have taken it halfway, you ripped out the verse, and then you try to explain it or limit it with hadith. Then your own scholars say, no, the hadith is too much, let's rein in the hadith with the Quran because your Lord never forgets. Also quoting the Quran out of context, by the way. So with that, we close part 3 of Quranist responses to critics, Abdullah Al-Andalusi, part 3. We hope to see you in perhaps the final part, which I don't think so, it could be part 5 as well. We hope to see you in the final part very soon. Thank you very much for your viewership. Bye.